trying something different today. I have this little microphone on and this little body pack here, and we're going to see how this works. Now, this is the third time I've tried it, and the first time it did not work at all, and I think it's because I used the wrong connector. So this time I used the right connector, and it was working when I tested it earlier. So I'm going to assume that it is working and tell you what I'm doing today. So my sweet, darling husband only likes strawberry jam. And I want to make our own jam. So I tried making a few other different kinds and never really went over too big. He wants his strawberry jam. So I'm going to make my own. And I'm going to make it. I have got some freeze-dried strawberries. So these ones are Aguson Farms, and I have had these since 2012. So they've been sitting in my cupboard since 2012. And they say they have, oh, if they're sealed, they're good for up to 30 years. So, yeah, and then once you open it, you have to use it within a year. And if you look at the ingredients, and I don't know if this camera will zoom in on that or not, but the ingredients are sliced freeze-dried strawberries. So I don't know if Augustin Farms is still around. I don't know if they're in Canada, but I do know that Thrive is in Canada. And this is another pack of strawberries that I've had since 2013. This one we actually opened just a little while ago and have been nibbling on them, and you can eat them like just straight out of the can if you want to. Just like a crunchy strawberry candy, I swear. Anyway, these are also, well, this says shelf life 25 years, and again, best if used within 1 year of opening. Oh, I didn't mark when I opened these. I guess I figured that I used the strawberries quickly enough that it wouldn't matter. I didn't need to do that. So anyway, I'm going to get this big old number 10 can open because according to my recipe, I need 6 cups of prepared strawberries. So let me get this open, and then I'm going to show you the next step on how to make jam with freeze-dried strawberries. I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm looking at my strawberry jam recipe, and it does not call for any water. So since I'm using freeze-dried strawberries, I'm going to measure them out, and I'm going to soak them with some water to refresh them and just bring a little bit of moisture back to them before I start actually cooking them. So I need 6 cups. 1, 2. And I'm going to get those measured in, and then I'm going to pour a couple of cups of warm water on here, let it sit for about 10 minutes or so, and then we'll just drain it out. One thing that I will say about the Augustin strawberries as compared to the Thrive strawberries is that the Augustin Farm strawberries don't seem like they were quite as fresh when they were freeze-dried. Like I'm sure that they're still fine, but even looking at them, there are some that are a little bit discolored, a little bit brown. And the smell, it's not bad, and it still smells like strawberries, but it does have a little hint of that maybe I'm just about to go bad strawberry kind of smell. So I'm going to go ahead and use them because I've got them, and we'll see what happens. They should be fine. I tasted a couple of them and they tasted just fine. So anyway, I'm going to get some hot water in here and let these sit for a few minutes. And then we'll get back to making jam. This is, in case you wonder why I'm an amateur and I'm recording a video about making jam, is because I am myself just learning how to make jam. And so it's important for me to be able to keep a record so that I can go back and see what I've learned and where I screwed up and just all that kind of stuff. And then plus, working with the Thrive foods, I think that that's important for you to know how to use the foods that you've got put up to be able to make things. Like I said, I've had those strawberries in my storage cabinet for, what, going on 10 years now? And now I'm going to use them. And imagine, had I left strawberries in the cupboard for 10 years in any other form, it would not be good. So I think it's good to learn how to cook with this stuff, and that's what we're going to do. All right, so I got my strawberries. And that was my packet of Cerdo mixed with a quarter of a cup of sugar. And that's all gone in there. And now I'm going to heat this quickly to a boil. And then I'm going to add in the rest of my sugar. I don't know, I'll have to ask Honey if he... Well, we'll see how much it cooks down, too, as to whether it's lumpy or... I've never made strawberry jam or jelly. I've never made any kind of jelly before. I did make a berry jam once. Oh, now that looks like it's... I need my instructions and I can't see them. Ah! Pull that over here. All right, bring to boil on high heat. Stir in remaining sugar. Well, it's definitely bubbling, so I'm going to go ahead and pour in my 4 1/4 cups of sugar. Oh, this is definitely going to be pretty full. Alright, so I've got everything into a bigger pot. I'm going to bring this back to a boil. So it says to let it sit now for 5 minutes and skim it. So that's what I'm going to do, and then I'll bring you back when I'm going to fill my jars. Now they've been sitting over there in my Nesco sterilizing my jars, and I'm going to actually move that over to the heat. And turn it back on and warm up those lids. And we'll be back in just a couple of minutes. Well, here's something I find kind of interesting, and that is that recipe only made, it said it was going to make 8 cups. I guess that's, I don't know, it made like 3.5 pints, which to me, I thought I'd at least get 4 pints. I was like, can I get 4 or 5 pints out of it? But apparently not. And it said not to double the recipe. So I'm not going to double the recipe. And I'm just going to can these 3.5. Or 3 2/3 or whatever the heck it is. I don't know. I still, when I can, it's still a wing and a prayer for me because I still feel so much that I don't know what I'm doing. And so if you're looking for encouragement on trying canning, especially pressure canning, I am your go-to gal, because I tell you what, it is not as difficult or as scary as I thought it was. But I do still always get nervous because what if my stuff doesn't seal? Then I've just wasted all of that food. I mean, I guess you can try to reprocess it within a certain amount of time, and I mean, I suppose with this I could turn it into freezer jam or something like that if I needed to, but so it wouldn't be a total waste. But sometimes some things are like a total waste. So I'm going to put my rings on just finger tight. Now your finger tight might be different than my finger tight. I used to not tighten them enough, and I had a lot of problems with things not sealing properly. So now I tighten them a little bit more, but still I don't reef them on. But I do make sure that they're tight. And here we go. We're going into our canner, which still has our hot water in it. Now, they say that you can water bath can pints in here. But I have not tried to do, well, I did try to do that, and I wasn't comfortable with it. I didn't feel like there was a good 2 inches of water over top of my jars, which is what it needs to be in water bath canning. Your jars need to be completely submerged in water, from what I've heard. I don't want to sound like an expert, but that is what I've heard. So what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to use the low pressure setting, and then you follow basically the same steps as your high pressure canning. It just doesn't build up quite as much pressure. So we're going to do that. I'm going to put that down and hit close. I'm going to make sure that this little doohickey is on exhaust. And now if you haven't watched my use your Nesco in a minute or less, check out my short that is using your Nesco, and it just walks you through these basic steps. So I'm going to this time hit low, and my processing time, I'm going to say 15 minutes, and I'm going to hit start. And I'm going to walk away. Actually, I'm going to turn you off, and I'm going to come back here and clean up these dishes, and then I'll be back in a bit. Apparently that was totally the wrong way to go with that, because as you can see, it like totally blew the lid off here and here. Ouch. So those aren't going to seal. We'll see if those other two in the back seal. I'm going to let them cool for about an hour and then get them into the fridge so they don't get ruined. Oh well, at least it tastes good, and it might be going in the freezer. So it totally did go in the freezer, and I guess that was really my first epic canning failure, because those just blew the tops right off. I think it was a combination of I shouldn't have low pressure done them, I guess, and my processing time was off. When I looked again at the book, I should have only processed for 10 minutes, not 15. It could have also been the slow release from the slow pressure that did, from the low pressure that did it, because that Nesco canner, it says when you're pressure canning that you should let it release naturally, which I did. So at whatever point that it was where it blew the lids off, I don't know. But anyway, I won't do that again. I will do the jam again. The jam turned out fabulous, and most of it's in the freezer. Some of it's in the fridge. And we'll eat it. It tastes delicious, so it's not a total loss. And it was definitely a lesson learned. As I was editing, I could just hear some of my friends who actually know how to can saying, "Oh no, don't do that, Lorrie." But I guess that's how you learn. You make mistakes, and then you try it again, and you keep doing it till you get it right. So that's what I'm going to do. I will be making strawberry jam again, probably. Hopefully not too soon, but that will probably be the type of jam I make because that's what Dave likes. And I liked working with the freeze-dried fruit. It did make it super easy. I just had to put some water over it and let it sit for a few minutes, and it was ready to go. I didn't know chopping, no hulling, no picking out rotten pieces, no, none of that. It was super easy, and I have delicious strawberry jam. So anyway, thanks so much for watching and joining me. I really do appreciate you. If you haven't, you should subscribe and hit that notification bell and do the whole ding 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 thing. I would like that. But even if you don't, thanks for being here. I really do appreciate all the time you spend, and I will hope to see you again soon. Bye now.